Yes, your gums are bleeding because you don't floss. Along with brushing and removing the debris from the cheek side, the tongue side, and the bite side of your teeth, the next most important thing is to make sure you are flossing. When you don't floss, the bacteria in the food sits on your gums and creates ulcerations. When you go through and floss, those ulcerations can start to bleed, kind of like rubbing a skinned knee. It's not a sign to stop. The more you go through and floss, the healthier and stronger your gums will get, the less food will be there for the bacteria to eat, and the less you have to worry about any sort of decay or disease down the line. If you're brushing your teeth and not flossing, it's kind of like washing your hands like this and not cleaning between your fingers. A lot of people weren't taught to floss because it wasn't really recommended until the 70s. So this is something that generationally we're having to teach the future. Flossing with the string, the most important thing is that you're going gentle and you're hugging the sides of each tooth. What I like to do is I get about an arm's length or 18 inches of floss, wrap it around my middle fingers to give it a good anchor, and I wrap it more on one side than the other. That's so as it gets food or it shreds, I can just go down the line and use a new inch of floss all the way around. It is not a good idea to use the same inch of floss on all of your teeth, because if there's a cavity, say on the upper right, now you're going to spread that bacteria in that cavity around. With the little placker picks, you cannot change that inch of string. At that time, a lot of people will use a new one in each half or quadrant of their mouth. They'll go through, rinse it, or dip it in mouthwash as they need to. It's always better to floss than not, so if you just have the one pick, then floss any problem area last. Usually, that's the back molars, or if you're informed of an area where you do have decay or an area to watch. You want to pinch it like a little crab. I always go and get the back of the back teeth. The back of the back teeth need love too. Then you wiggle, 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 curve to the side of one tooth, come out, curve to the side of the other, come on out. So wiggle, wiggle, you hug going all the way under the gum, about 1 to 3 millimeters. As you're going through, if you have really tight areas, it's really important to do that sawing motion back and forth to make sure you get between the teeth without cutting the gums. So wiggle, wiggle, hug the side of one tooth, hug the side of the other. Come on out, move down the line, wiggle, wiggle, hug, and hug. The regular stringer pick floss can only go down as far as the tissue around it allows. This comes back into play when you do have the deeper pockets or if you have a history of any recession. The other most common way to floss along with the string is the little placker picks. These little placker picks are great for convenience, and also if you can't fit your hands all the way in the back of your mouth, they're not as good as the string because you do not have as much control over it, and you're a lot more likely to just snap it down. Unlike the string where you can really get that nice C-shaped hug around the gum, the placker picks you kind of just lean and lean. Important you do that little wiggling, sawing motion to get between the teeth. You hug the side of one tooth and you hug the side of the other. It's also helpful to make sure you're doing about 2 to 3 strokes at a time. You either use a new one in each half or quadrant of your mouth, dip it in a little mouthwash or rinse it off with some water as you go through, or since you can't change the inch of string, you just floss any sort of problem area last. You do the best you can.